what are your thoughts on Tennessee landing Nico Iamaleava? Nope, that's not it, Colin. Close. They got Nico, big-time five-star quarterback, and we've got a lot of time to learn the pronunciation. What are the thoughts here, though, on them getting him? This is a guy, you've probably heard the name already. Maybe you haven't tried to pronounce it. This is a huge deal. I don't want to gloss over how big this is because we're messing around about pronouncing the dude's name. You'll know about him. Be kind of like Tua or DJ Uiagalelei. You'll know how to pronounce that name. He's going to make you know how to pronounce his name. He is committed to Tennessee, so that's part A. Before I get to the whole NIL tag that's associated with this, let's just talk for a second about how big this is, because this is something that a lot of folks didn't think would happen. A lot of folks did not think that Josh Heupel would come to Tennessee and attract major talent. Well, that's happening, and as is usually the case when a big-time quarterback commits to your campus, there will be several more dominoes to follow. So I feel ultra confident now moving forward in the Tennessee recruiting apparatus, the entire recruiting infrastructure there. This is so big, though. So big. I mean, we're excited about Hendon Hooker this year at Tennessee and what he could do. 31-3 touchdown interception ratio last year. Well, now we all of a sudden get to keep one eye on the field this year. This is a luxury Tennessee fans have not known for a long time. You get to have one eye on the field this year, but then you got the other eye cut over here on this commitment list, and we see a big-time quarterback prospect, all 5 of those stars next to his name. So that's the beauty for a Tennessee fan. But then, if you want to be a contrarian and if you want to argue about this and not give Tennessee and Josh Heupel credit, here's how you would make it sound. Well, yeah, it's easy when you got the kind of NIL money that he's going to get. If it's so easy, why doesn't your program have him, would be my first question. The second question is that not the way the game is played now? The answer is yes. It's rhetorical. That is the way the game's played. So there are some details and facts and figures floating around out there about the kind of deal that he signed. It's structured very similarly to how I think most of the major NIL deals will be structured moving forward. I think they'll probably balloon in nature a little bit more. So you've seen those figures in the millions, but I think it'll get a little bit bigger, but I don't think it'll just grow like a bubble forever. Reportedly, and I want to say reportedly, about $350K is essentially a signing bonus here, but over $2 million will be paid each year he's enrolled, each year he's eligible to play. There are appearance deals. It's kind of like a contract, a talent contract. You've got certain parameters you got to meet, you got boxes you got to check, and you'll get paid for it. So it's no different than a celebrity in that sense that has signed an endorsement deal. Now, a lot of people have problems with this, probably a moot point by now, but a lot of people look at that and they say, well, that just doesn't feel like college football. Well, I understand where you're coming from. You know I was drug into this kicking and screaming, and I'm not particularly crazy about it, but I understand reality is reality. Now, there are a lot of questions out there that follow up on this, and it is something along the lines of, well, where does it end? He gets this much, and then the next kid's going to get this much. Well, let's be careful for a second, just assuming that the figures will forever balloon northward, because we have not gone through a major NIL cycle yet. And what I mean by that is we watch recruiting every year, don't we? And we see kids that end up not fulfilling their immense star rating hype every year. A lot of times it's for things that were outside of my control if I were to put a star ranking on a kid. But for whatever the reason, we see kids not pan out all the time. We've never seen NIL attached to it before. So now we got to watch a cycle or two, and we got to watch a kid, not going to name names, we're going to see kids, though, that end up signing these mega deals, and they just don't pan out. And so the folks who have been writing those checks are going to end up probably calibrating the way they go about doing things, and there may be a whole lot more performance-based and incentive-based guarantees layered into these NIL deals, kind of like there already is here. This is not just $6 or $8 million being plopped down in a kid's lap. There are a lot of parameters and incentives that you have to meet, but I do think that there is coming a day where there will be a major NIL deal or 5 signed, and then for whatever reason, the immense hype that is associated with said signee just doesn't end up panning out, and then there's a recalibration period, and then we settle into whatever the NIL market is going to be. But that's down the road. As for right now, this kid's going to end up being a big-time quarterback at Tennessee. At least I believe that. I don't think there's a big bust factor with him. I think he's really, really, really good. There's not a lot that's unknown about him, in other words. So I'm looking forward to that. And it will only bolster satellite recruiting, if you will, recruiting around the quarterback position. It's big for Josh Heupel because not a lot of people thought that he would be able to do that. And he's using the parameters of the game as they are right now structured to pull off some things up there that already people said that he was not going to be capable of. I'm excited about it.